Hello and welcome to another episode of Red. Today we are looking at something that everyone needs for their kitchen. If you like good food, that is. And that is the Anova Precision Cooker. Now this thing cooks with water and plastic bags, and it's super easy. Unless you're technology challenged, in which case it's less easy. I'm not going to mention any names, but we know who she is.
Thank you for watching our unscripted reviews. Feel free to like and subscribe.
Getting this thing out of the box, you're met with something like this. Now we've had this thing for 8 months, 9 months, and this is the Wi-Fi version, which we'll talk about in a minute, which is what I recommend, and there's a couple of reasons for that. But what this will do is it'll heat the water to the temperature that you want your cook to go at, and then it'll just hold it there, which is fantastic because 1 hour pasteurization of the water basically clears all the bacteria, kills everything. So as long as you're doing a cook that's longer than an hour, which most cooks are going to be, that's the one downside, is this is going to take a while for it to cook successfully, and to get to the right temperature that you want. And there's a lot of different cooking times and whatnot for different types of meats and stuff. So today we're doing St. Louis style ribs. Now these are my personal favorite. Some people really like the back ribs. These are the meaty ribs. These are delicious. Alright, so what you need to do is you need to get yourself a big pot. These things are sold on Amazon. These things are great. You can use like a big stock pot. It doesn't matter. Whatever works, right? What you do need to make sure you have is a power outlet so you can plug it in. You'll attach it like so. There's a screw in the back here that holds tension to it, and it'll keep it in position in one space. You do need to take particular close attention to the minimum level and the maximum level. And the water level will vary depending on how much meat you're putting in or how much food you're putting in. It's also great with vegetables and stuff too. So there's a couple things that you need to keep in mind when you're going to be cooking a long cook on a counter or surface. These are granite-ish counters, and they do great with high heat, but they don't do great over prolonged heat. So they will crack, and I've actually had a nice little experience where that's happened, and they seem to do okay. But what I recommend is take a metal conductive pan and put a dish towel, kitchen towel, underneath it to help disperse the heat so it's not hitting the stone directly. And then simply place your cooker and the water on top of it. And it also slides pretty easy then too. So if you need to slide it, and then you plug it in. As you can see, it boots up and it's currently reading the temperature of the water. So I used warm water here because I'm going to start to cook fairly soon. But you can use cold water, and you can actually add ice if you want. Because it's the Wi-Fi version, you can actually put cold water in here, put ice in here, and use this as like a temporary refrigerator or cooler until you're ready to cook. Say if you're going to be gone or something and you don't want to start cooking right away, you can use this as a cooler. Start this remotely from your phone. I'll show you the app when we get started here, and it'll actually keep the meat at refrigerator temperature until you are ready to start your cooking process. So, very cool. Hey guys, Future Greg here. Just wanted to interrupt our video for just a second. The Novo connects to the phone via Bluetooth. The Wi-Fi lets you operate the Anova outside of the house. So some pretty cool features that are there. And not only that, but I'll put all the pricing information up on the screen now. And let's get back to the video. Alright, so one of the things we got to do here is we want to launch the Anova app on our phone. And as you can see, it's showing the 95.9 temperature. Now you can change the temperature here, what you want to set it to. We're going to be changing it to 150 degrees. And then you can press the button here to start it, and it's going to start cooking at 150, and you'll see my phone here will also change, telling you that it's changing. The timer you don't have to worry about yet, but it defaults to a 2-hour timer. Okay, so I'm going to stop it here, And then I'm going to go ahead and it will stop here as well. There we go. All right, and then I can come in here and I can say set temp 150, set, and I can tell it what I want to cook. So if I'm going to do ribs, the next time I come into the app, it's going to know that I'm cooking. When I go to cook ribs, it's going to know it's going to want to go to 150. All right, then I hit start, and it's going to go ahead and start preheat. But that's it. Then we're going to set our timer. We'll do this later, but we can set our timer right here too. And you'll get an alert on your phone, and you'll also get an alert on the device itself. And the other thing that's cool is you can also have other recipes and other guides and stuff that are in here, and it keeps that information. So you can cook them either way, but I do recommend you remove the membrane from the back of the ribs. So what I recommend getting is a butter knife, something that's kind of got a dull edge to it, but is capable of kind of prying. And it should come off pretty easy. We just got to get down in here and kind of just work it off of the bone is the easiest way to do it. And we just kind of want to pry it up a little bit, like so. Get it worked all the way off the bone, like so. And then I usually do 2 ribs, because there is a thin layer on the first rib, and then sometimes you'll pull that up and that first bone will kind of come out. So if you get this on the first or the second rib, you can kind of work it up a little bit. And then I usually flip it over and just kind of pull backwards here and just kind of get it to pry up enough that you can kind of see it coming up here. So once you have a decent flap here open, I'm going to grab a paper towel. You're going to want to grab it, and you're going to want to start to pull on it. And sometimes it'll come right off in one piece. I'm going to take this, I'm going to rework this a little bit here. You can see it kind of peeling up there. I'm going to go down here and work on this third bone. You can see it pulling up. Kind of take your finger in there, and it'll peel up real nice. So you try to get it off in one piece. Alright, so then we grab a hurt towel again, and we'll go ahead and start pulling. Try to get it to the point where it's caught up. Alright, so you have it one big piece, and you can just kind of pull the rest of it off. So that, we got most of it there, but we do have, nope, it came off too. So all good. These are nice and clean. There's a little bit of membrane still left here. We'll get that off. That you can probably just cut off with a sharp knife. Not too much issue. Alright, so pull up membrane here on the second rack of ribs. Kind of take our knife and kind of work it in there. Kind of loosen up the second rib bone as well. Get something like that. Grab our paper towel. Try to do this so you guys can see. Alright, get that. Get a nice firm grip. Pulls right off. Alright, so now that the membranes are off, you can trim these down if you want, which I will probably in a minute, but I'm going to go ahead and apply a binder. So you can use a variety of different things that you want for binder. I prefer yellow mustard. You want to shake it good first. And then you just want to put like a little thin coat on it. And then you just want to rub it in. Now, people who don't like mustard are going, oh my god, that's nasty. But, Stacy's probably one of those people. Like, oh my god, that's so disgusting. But here's the cool thing, right? So, the mustard itself, you will not taste. I promise. It's just a binder to adhere to the ribs. And what's going to happen is, as it cooks and renders, that mustard is going to be non-existent. It's not going to taste like anything. It's just to get the rub to stick to it. So we're going to do both sides, right? Rub it in nice and good. Try to get all areas. This part is messy, so as you can see, I put some gloves on. Because, you know, otherwise you're going to be washing your hands like 1,000 times. So I just kind of rub it in good. Then I got this, today we're trying Pork Barrel Barbecue, the All-American Rub Seasoning. I think you can pick this up at your local Sam's Club. I've not tried it on ribs, but I've tried it on other things and it's pretty good. So we're going to do a nice thick coat. It's got, you can see some salt, some pepper. I smell some paprika. We're going to kind of, and as we kind of work it, we're going to kind of press it down into the rib and make it adhere to that mustard. Alright? Then we'll flip it over, and we'll do the same thing. Now, I usually don't put nearly the size of coat, because, you know, meat's on the other side, so use a smaller coat on this side. But you still want to get everything covered. You can also make your own rub. Rub doesn't matter, use whatever you like. I just happened to have this on hand and I wanted to try it, so don't forget your edges. You want to get those edges too. And if you're going to let the ribs sit in the refrigerator overnight, you don't need to use a binder at all. You can actually just let the magic of time do its thing, but I don't have that kind of time today, so I'm going to get these things done quick. Alright, got it nice and coated in. This one's done. Flip it back over. Make sure there's no missing spots, because this is the part that's the important side. I got a little here I'm going to hit again. Let's do the next rack. So let's put our binder on, rub it in. Then we add the rub. Give it a nice press in. And then you can let these sit for a little while. We're ready to go to the next step, which is bagging them. Alright, so one of the big tricks here with these vacuum seal bags, you can use Ziploc bags and you can do the water displacement method, but I prefer to use specifically with the ones with the bones, and sometimes I'll even double bag them. These aren't really sharp, so I'm not going to worry about that today, but just take it and you want to roll the edge inside a little bit, and that's going to give you a much tighter seal. So roll that, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to take our rib and we're just going to place it inside the bag. And we go ahead and put them in our vacuum sealer. Go ahead and try to push out the excess air, like so. And it'll go ahead and stop by itself. And it'll give you a nice tight seal. And if you don't have a vacuum sealer, the one I recommend is right below. It's kind of a combination of convenience and other stuff. It works great for cheese. That's a whole different video though. Alright, so when we get these things set up here, I recommend picking up one of these racks. They're very handy for more things than just ribs. But what we're doing is we're just kind of alternating these in. we're gonna go ahead and place these little these things slide into this bar underneath. Make sure you don't puncture your bag though. That would be a bad day. They don't have to be super tight, but it is good to keep them kind of moving around. And what we're going for here is we want to get that water sort of flowing around all parts of the ribs. Make sure it cooks nice and even. Once you got them all set in there, try to tuck your bags down. And we can set them in the water. It's almost the temperature, so we're good. We might have to add a little more water though, because it's not quite covering the top. You see how that is? So we're gonna get some more water and we're gonna pour it in there, cover it up. All right, so make sure you use hot water when you're adding it, because it's gonna affect the temperature, as you see here. You want it just enough to cover everything. Yep, that's good right there. Make sure that the water is all in there. Then it's also a good idea because ribs have quite a bit of fat that you're breaking down doing this long cook process. So it's also a good idea to take something and put over top of it to keep it from floating. Alright, so I recommend picking up one of these Amazon racks. The links will be provided as well, just to kind of keep them in the feet here are going to help with the lid. And I do recommend picking up the lid to reduce the amount of evaporation that happens in this. Alright, so as you can hear, our ribs are done. So let's take those bad boys out, shall we? Alright, so we got our ribs out. We're gonna go ahead and cut the bag with a knife or some other sharp object. Let's take them out. Now they're obviously gonna shrink. We're gonna have shrunken a little bit so that ooh, they smell good. They smell real good, and they should be super tender. You can feel they're almost trying to break on me. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put these down here in this rack. We're gonna take our liquid and we're gonna dump it in here. Ooh. These bones are, the meat has pulled away from the bones, pretty much exposing them completely. Alright, so I drained all the liquid out and I've got the ribs ready to go here on this rack. You know, they look very wet. So we're gonna take some paper towels and we're gonna dry them off because they've been basically braising in their own juices for 26 hours. And we're just gonna dry them off because that's the way we can get a nice good sear on these bad boys. And so they're gonna taste great. Then we can apply some barbecue sauce and we're gonna sear them again. You can see right here how tender. I just pull these bones and it'll just rip right apart. Let's go ahead and do it. Right? I'm barely applying any pressure at all. You can see that meat is just pulling right off the bone. So we're gonna go ahead and let these air out for just a few minutes. And then I'll show you what we're gonna do next. Alright, so we're gonna finish these like we finish, which everybody can finish, right in our broiler. We're gonna set on a high and we're gonna let it heat up for about 10 minutes. Okay, so the ribs are all dry and they're ready to go into the broiler. So pretty much all there is to it. You just pick them up and we're gonna do the tops first. Now you don't want to let these sit very long in there. They're already fully cooked. All you need to do is get a nice sear on the outside. So check them within like a couple minutes. Don't leave them too long. Alright, so now we're going to flip them. Going back in. Alright. Lots of deterioration with those bones, specifically with these two. We're going to sauce ours up. We're using Famous Dave's barbecue sauce. Now one thing about the barbecue sauce and heat, you gotta be careful because it will burn. So you want to get a nice good amount on there. And we put it back under the broiler. We're just going to go ahead and turn that broiler right off. And then we're going to go ahead and the heat, the residual heat that's in the oven is going to go ahead and basically finish these for us. They don't need any more time. We just want We just want that sauce to caramelize on these ribs. And they're going to be great. I wish you guys could smell these. It's so amazing. Right. That one might have got a little too much, but hey, it just means a little juicier. All right. So now we're going to flip these, and we're going to glaze the tops. Okay. Alright, these are ready to go back inside. Let me show you what they look like once we get them back out. Alright, so now all glazed and they're ready to eat. So I'm going to go ahead and chop them up in smaller parts. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and cut these up here. I like to cut them up in like two bone portions. We're going to use our tongs here. And we're just going to cut right here in the bone, and you can see how tender they are. They kind of fall off. See the juices. Got this piece right here. Mmm. So moist and tender and juicy. Alright, so there's two. We'll have them cut this one up. I call this one the chef's special because he doesn't fit the category of everybody else. And as you can see here, if we just take this bone and pull just a little bit, the meat just comes right off. Delicious. Thanks for checking us out, guys. If you found this video helpful, if you want to see more cooking videos, please let me know. Stacy's going to be doing a baking video here shortly. And give us a like and a subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Alright, so my son Mason here is going to give it a try. Let me know what you think, man.
Good.
Is it juicy?
It's juicy. It's easy to bite into.
The meat just pulls right off the bone.
I like the... What's it called?
The barbecue sauce?
Yeah, the sauce.
Yeah, the sauce is good. Famous Dave's.